that failure of registration, if you do not register your relationship, it can lead to sanction by the authorities via fine and also an imprisonment up to 3 months or both. That's something which has been, that's the power that has been given to the state. And how is it that the live-in relationship has been defined? If you look at that draft bill which has been presented on the floor of the House, every cohabiting couple will be called a live-in couple. The definition that was proposed by the Supreme Court a couple of years ago, back in 2010, and in some other judgments seems to be very different. There are various experts who cry foul. There has been a lot of buzz on social media as well. They have questioned the fact that is this undue interference by the state in your bedroom? Well, there has been a long-standing demand. In fact, this battle went to the Supreme Court that live-in relationships should be recognized in this country, and the only way they can be recognized at par with marriages, at civil partnership, is by way of registration. The problem is not so much the state requiring couples to register. The problem is the wide definition of live-in relationships that has been given under this law, under which each cohabiting couple becomes a live-in partner. And if you don't register, the state has the authority to act against you. This particular loophole, a lacuna in law, many call it, is the window where you would see moral policing and harassment of intercaste or interfaith couples. This is still a draft. It has not been passed by the Assembly yet, so it is open for the government to make changes into this. Let's cut across to my colleague Arunima. She's been tracking all the developments in Uttarakhand Assembly. She's been speaking to the Chief Minister. Arunima, what are you picking up? Are there still changes that can be made to this law? What are the kind of reactions, responses that you have heard ever since this draft bill was presented for consideration?
So the Congress party-led opposition has been saying that this bill they are not opposing, but they do want certain changes to be made and proper scrutiny of the draft to be made, and therefore they want this to go to the standing committee. But from the look of it, the Bharatiya Janata Party government led by Pushkar Singh Dhami are convinced that there is no need to send this to standing committee. Any moment now you will see Chief Minister take the podium and start his reply to the bill. Almost all the speakers have completed their motion as far as this particular bill is concerned. What is the central theme? Almost all of them are saying that yes, we agree, and this is across party lines. They're saying that yes, we agree that uniform civil code is required, but the BJP side is saying, especially on the provision for live-in relationship, one thing is very clear. They are saying that a lot of people under fake names, under guise of being from a different community, go and get into a live-in relationship with Hindu girls, and therefore this provision was necessary. Now the opposition side has countered this by saying that there are various other ramifications of the kind of provision that you're bringing, and that is why we want this to go to the standing committee. Like I said, any moment now Pushkar Singh Dhami will begin his reply, post which before 6 p.m. it is expected that the bill will be passed unanimously by the Uttarakhand Assembly.
Arunima, can I please request you to stay with us on the broadcast? We are also being joined by Zakia Soman, her women rights activist. She's also somebody who has actively worked in the sphere of Muslim personal law. Saira Shah Halim, she's a noted author and activist. Thank you both of you for joining us on the broadcast. Zakia ji, first to you. Your overall thoughts on the manner in which this civil code has been presented. The 1937 Shariat Application Act that gives a certain degree of immunity to the Muslim personal law in this country stays where it is. Many legal experts argue that it will have to pass and muster a lot of legal tests before it becomes a reality. But prima facie, with the details trickling out, your thoughts on the proposed Uniform Civil Code in Uttarakhand?
So I would say fundamentally Uniform Civil Code is about gender justice and about gender equality, no doubt about that. But it depends on the politics of the day, whether we make it into a progressive law, progressive means, or we, politicize that. So I think the truth is somewhere in between. The fact remains that Muslim women are denied the advantages of codified family laws which are enjoyed by Hindu women and Christian women. So that's a fact of life. Yeah. And in the absence of any talk of reform from within the Muslim community, I think that the Uniform Civil Code is the next step forward, because as citizens in India, Muslim women are entitled to justice. Yeah. They are entitled to Quranic justice. They are also entitled to constitutional justice. So in that sense, this is a step forward, because it is a draft now. The draft is there, which everybody can take a look at. Everybody can reflect, everybody can respond to it. Amendments can be suggested, reviews can be suggested. So there's a starting point. Now, how the government tries and takes everybody on board, how are all the opinions and views. Of course, with the non-negotiable of gender justice and equality, how are the views accommodated? That will be then that remains to be seen. But overall, I welcome it, and I think it's a good development.
You think it's a good development? Saira Shah Halim, polygamy, if this code becomes a reality, it in particular doesn't talk about any kind of Muslim personal law practices, but if this comes into effect, barring the tribals which are covered under the 6th schedule, all communities will come under the purview of this. This will have wide ramifications, especially for the Muslim personal law, which Zakia ji has rightly pointed out, has remained uncodified and unreformed to a great extent, comparatively speaking. What do you think about the changes that have been proposed, and especially the method and manner by which they've been proposed?
Yes, so good evening firstly. There are various concerns regarding this law because the compulsory registration takes away the freedom to choose not being married. What would be the difference, when consensual couples decide not to get their marriage registered? This would be a
Saraji, we have lost your audio. Could you just unmute yourself? I think you've muted yourself.
person. What adults do consensually.
Okay.
Prima facie, it intrudes into the privacy of the individuals, two individuals, which is recognized as a fundamental right to privacy. And there are various concerns regarding vigilance who want to run amok and cause trouble in interfaith marriages. If they want to bully an interfaith couple, it can lead to big problems. And then it will compel the couple to say, no, we are not in a live-in relationship. What if someone hounds them? What if someone bullies them? So that is the concern here.
Okay.
Secondly, here...
No, the concern that you're expressing about hounding or bullying is vis-a-vis the live-in relationships, or you're talking about the compulsory registration of marriages? I lost your audio there.
This is the compulsory registrations also. The fact is, if two consensual adults have decided to be in a live-in relationship minus the registration, so what difference would there be between two adults consensually deciding to be in a live-in relationship and not deciding to get it registered? It is like putting up your information up there for everyone to see, and here the entire data can get misused. And here there's a concern about interfaith couples, about same-sex couples being hounded by the state, being hounded by certain state agencies, and that is a big concern. Now, already, we are overburdened with the criminal justice system, where the justice system is severely overburdened with different cases. Marriages per se in the country, if you look at the registration, it falls under 10%. 10% of marriages are...
No, but Zakia ji, compulsory registration of marriages, Saira Shah Halim, is also something that has been suggested by the Supreme Court in many ways. Compulsory registration of marriages is also something that has existed in much more developed Western democracies for many years. Coming to the part about live-in relationships, Zakia ji, I went through the draft, and I think one of the biggest problem is not so much about the registration of live-in relationships. In fact, it has often been argued that live-in relationships should be recognized at par. In fact, the Supreme Court in some of its judgment has recognized certain live-in relationships at par with marriage. This is something that has been asserted through various judgments of the High Courts as well. The problematic aspect is that the manner in which live-in relationships have been defined under this law, every cohabiting couple becomes a live-in relationship. And if people want to be in a relationship, just be a cohabiting couple and not register their live-in partnerships, then they somewhat become liable to criminal action. I believe that's an interference, undue, disproportionate interference that many are criticizing. Zakia ji.
Yeah. So Anusha, there are several provisions here in this draft about the live-in relationship which are problematic. Which I'm sure will have to be reviewed and will have to be even revisited thoroughly and dropped even. Because in the first place, those who don't want to get married are the ones who begin living, right? And there's also this right to conscience.
Yeah.
So I may want to live in with somebody, but I want to keep it private. No, it's my business. It's the business between two adults. So that is fundamentally a problematic thing. So I'm sure it will be reviewed. But having said that, you are right that live-in relationships are recognized even under the Domestic Violence Act.
Yes.
A living partner who is subject to domestic abuse is entitled to compensation and justice same way as a married partner is. So we want live-in relations to be recognized, to be made legal, and to receive all the dignity and respect that is given to marriage in our society. But it has to be, I'm afraid it cannot be done, so fast and so drastically. It has to be gradual. So for a start, just a suggestion for a start, this bill can suggest that keep it, voluntary. Whether live-in couples want to register, they are welcome to register. That, it has to be, the law has to develop, gradually evolve organically over a period of time. So once, once a few couples go and register, maybe some of them might recognize the benefits of that and may influence other couples to go and register. So there may be some other living couples who may never care to register, may never care to have any advantage, any benefit of the state.
And that is a decision that should be left to every individual. I want to bring in my colleague Arunima also on that point. Arunima, as you talk to the people concerned there, as you talk to the Chief Minister, their offices, or you get a sense and a feel of how the situation is really developing, this particular part has been criticized severely. I don't think in today's day and age anybody can come forward and defend polygamy, or anybody can defend any law which is not seen to treat women as equals. But when it comes to this compulsory registration of live-in relationships, do you sense that there is a possibility that government is open and amenable to this kind of change?
So I asked that question to the Parliamentary Affairs Minister here in Uttarakhand, and I asked of him that there is a lot of criticism. Why are you forcing adults who have been given the right under the Constitution to decide how they want to lead their lives? If they are not getting into the institution of marriage, why force them to get into this registration? His response was that laws can always be amended, but currently the focus, the requirement, the need for this law in Uttarakhand was felt because, like I said, we have come up with a number of cases, that's what the Parliamentary Affairs faced, that we have come up with a number of cases where people change their names, hide their identity and go and start a live-in relationship with girls. लड़कियों को बरगलाया जा रहा है is a term that you have heard on the floor of the Uttarakhand Assembly time and again by BJP speakers. उनको बचाने के लिए ज़रूरी है. So the girls are being misled and therefore this is required. If you register, the police will know, the registrar will know. But the counter to that the opposition MPs and even on the ground when I've been speaking to Muslim women, they also turned around and asked me that you're saying that polygamy is abusive towards women, having more than one wife is abusive towards women, but you're allowing a man to have no commitment as far as marriage is concerned and have multiple live-in relationship. How is that allowed?
Okay. I think that's also a factor to consider, but if they treat live-in relationships as at par with marriage, in fact, there's an interesting judgment of the Punjab and Haryana High Court that says that if a man is married and he goes into a live-in relationship and vice versa, you cannot do that without dissolving one. Either you have to dissolve your live-in relationship first and then get into a marriage, or the other way around. I believe Uttarakhand Chief Minister is speaking right now. We'll cut across live.
काम था संहिता को बनाना और एक का था प्रारूप तैयार करना. दूसरी उपसमिति का कार्य प्रदेश के निवासियों के साथ जनसंवाद करना और संहिता का हिंदी में अनुवाद करना. हमारे देश के जिस गांव को, हमारे प्रदेश के जिस गांव को देश का अंतिम गांव कहा जाता था, माड़ा गांव, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उस गांव को देश के पहले गांव की संज्ञा दी और माड़ा गांव से ये संवाद प्रारंभ हुआ. लोगों के बीच में कमेटी गई और कमेटी ने अपना काम शुरू कर दिया. अभी प्रतिपक्ष के साथियों का ये भी आया था, मैं बहुत विनम्रतापूर्वक कोई जवाब भी नहीं दे रहा हूँ, कोई मैं आपकी बात की आलोचना भी नहीं करना चाहता हूँ, मेरा स्वभाव भी नहीं है कि जैसा कहा कि हमको इसकी सूचना नहीं मिली. ये देखिए, सभी राजनीतिक दलों के लोगों को सूचना गई थी. कांग्रेस पार्टी के भी हमारे ये जो मथुरादत्त जोशी जी, उन्होंने पार्टी के अध्यक्ष के प्रतिनिधि के रूप में, प्रदेश उपाध्यक्ष संगठन के रूप में इसको उन्होंने रिसीव किया हुआ है. ये सारे 3 लेटर हैं. पास हैं माननीय अध्यक्षा जी, इसको वहाँ तक पहुँचा देंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा। तो ऐसे 43 जन संवाद के कार्यक्रम चेक करवा लीजिएगा जी, भिजवा दे रहे हैं आपके पास। हाँ, कोई बात नहीं। तो इस समिति ने अपना काम किया और करीब 9 माह तक 43 जन संवाद के कार्यक्रम हुए और अंतिम जो बैठक थी इनकी देश की राजधानी में दिल्ली में पूरी हुई। और इस समिति को विभिन्न माध्यमों से करीब 2,32,961 सुझाव प्राप्त हुए और प्रदेश के 10% परिवारों द्वारा इस कानून को बनाने के लिए अपने सुझाव दिए गए कमेटी को। देश का ये पहला ऐसा अतुलनीय उदाहरण है जिसमें किसी भी कानून को बनाने के लिए 10% लोगों ने भाग लिया होगा। और ये कहीं ना कहीं हमारी देवभूमि की जो जनता है, देवभूमि के जो जनगण मन है, उनकी जागरूकता का भी प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण है। और हमारी जो इस समिति है इसने सभी सुझावों का अध्ययन कर रिकॉर्ड समय में विश्लेषण करके रिपोर्ट 2 फरवरी 2024 को अभी हमको सौंप दी और लंबे समय से सभी को प्रतीक्षा दी। जैसा हमारे सभी साथियों ने कहा कि पिछले लगभग मुझे याद है कि 12 फरवरी 2022 को मैंने इस संकल्प देवभूमि उत्तराखंड की जनता के सामने रखा था। तो लगभग मैं समझता हूं कि 2 साल का समय हो गया। कुछ ही दिन पहले यानी 10 दिन पहले, 2 साल में 10 दिन पहले उन्होंने हमको, समिति ने अपना अध्ययन करके अपनी बात करके हमको रिपोर्ट सौंपी और हमने भी देर नहीं करी। ये अच्छा काम है, इसमें देर करने की मैं समझता हूँ कोई आवश्यकता नहीं थी। और उन्होंने 2 तारीख को दी और हमने 5 तारीख से आहूत कर दिया। जितनी भी औपचारिकताएं थी उन औपचारिकताओं को पूरा किया। मैं समिति के सदस्यों का और उनका जो योगदान रहा है उनका धन्यवाद करता हूं। उम्मीद करता हूं कि समिति के सदस्यों का योगदान राज्य ही नहीं बल्कि आने वाले समय में जो ये हम सब लोग जो आज इस विधेयक पर चर्चा कर रहे हैं, ये विधेयक के रूप में प्रस्तुत हुआ है, आगे ये एक विधेयक के रूप में स्थापित हो जाएगा। ये केवल उत्तराखंड के लिए ही नहीं, पूरे देश के लिए, संपूर्ण भारतवर्ष के लिए एक मील का पत्थर साबित होगा। ये कहीं ना कहीं सबको एक राह दिखाने का काम करेगा। जिस प्रकार से देवभूमि से निकलने वाली माँ गंगा संपूर्ण देश को कहीं सींचने का काम करती है, कहीं याचमन का काम करती है, कहीं पीने के काम आती है, कहीं अभिसिंचित करने का काम करती है, उसी प्रकार से इस सदन से निकलने वाली ये समान अधिकारों की जो गंगा है, समान नागरिक आचार संहिता की गंगा, हमारे सभी नागरिकों के जो संवैधानिक अधिकार हैं उन अधिकारों की रक्षा भी करेगी और उन अधिकारों को सुनिश्चित करने का भी काम करेगी। हम हमेशा से ये कहते आए हैं कि अनेकता में एकता, यही भारत की विशेषता है। यह बिल उसी एकता की बात करता है जिस एकता का नारा हम आज से नहीं हमेशा से लगाते आए हैं। जिस एकता की बात हम करते आए हैं, सभी नागरिकों के लिए कानून की बात संविधान स्वयं करता है, क्योंकि हमारा जो संविधान है वो पंथ निरपेक्ष है और ये एक आदर्श धारणा है कि जो हमारे समाज की जो कमियां हैं, खराबियां हैं, या मैं कहूँगा कि विषमताएं हैं, उनको दूर करके सामाजिक ढांचे को मजबूती प्रदान करने का काम हमारा संविधान करता है। यह एक आदर्श धारणा है कि जो हमारे समाज की जो बुराइयां हैं, हमारे सामाजिक ढांचे को और मजबूत बनाने का काम करता है। मुझे खुशी की बात है कि आज इस धारणा को
Well, that was the Uttarakhand Chief Minister speaking, talking about different aspects of the proposed UCC. But right now, breaking news coming in, Prime Minister Modi meets Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. And this is the first meeting post the formation of the new government in the state. And indeed, a very important one. Nitish Babu at one point was a very important factor within the opposition alliance and now on the side of the BJP. My colleague Aman Sharma with us on the broadcast. Aman, what transpired?
Well, the Chief Minister of Bihar, Mr. Nitish Kumar, is meeting the Prime Minister after a long gap, after the JDU had walked out of the NDA camp in 2022, there hasn't been any public meeting between the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister of Bihar. So in a way, this is significant that the Chief Minister of Bihar, after rejoining the NDA, is back for a courtesy call on the Prime Minister. And this is also a statement, I think, by the NDA camp that, look, our allies are growing, our older allies, who may have left us, are rejoining us ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. And Bihar, of course, is an important state for the BJP. Also for Nitish Kumar, the importance and the priority is to get back to the double engine growth model, which he had followed for many years before leaving the BJP side. So he would be hoping for greater support from the BJP government in the center, from Mr. Modi, from various ministries for the development of Bihar for the BJP. I think in this meeting and from the bigger alliance with Nitish Kumar in Bihar, BJP is looking to solidify its Bihar chances on the all 40 seats of Lok Sabha in Bihar. Last time the BJP, the NDA, when it was together along with Nitish Kumar, won 39 out of the 40 seats. BJP is looking for a repeat of the same with Nitish Kumar back in the NDA camp. And so these kind of seat sharing, those still remains unresolved. And that is work in progress in the NDA camp, how seats will be divided in Bihar this time. Last time the BJP and the JDU had contested on 17 seats each, and LJP had contested on 6 seats. But this time there are 5 alliance partners, not 3. So it's a bigger alliance, and it will be a sensitive exercise in the NDA to how to divide the seats. But this is mostly a courtesy meeting by the Chief Minister of Bihar to the Prime Minister, and after the first one, after they have joined hands for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections.
All right, Aman. Thank you so much for putting all of that into perspective. Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting the newly sworn in Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. He continues to be the CM now with the BJP support. We talk about that and much more here on The Nation at 5 on the other side of a quick break. Stay tuned, stay with us.
Question from Rai Vishal. I think his name is Vishal Rai _24. Thanks Vishal for your question. He says, what about mutual fund investments that are happening through Paytm? What about them?
Yes. So typically what we would do is that, we would have a bank account which we would, give an e-instruction that every month the SIP is getting debited for the mutual fund, or we make an investment, right? So that will get stopped. So suppose if you have 1 lakh in your Paytm bank account, so till your SIP is within that limit, the debit will continue as is. But once that amount is exhausted, then you will have to change the bank account to some other bank.
I see.
So suppose you have a mutual fund in which you have given your Paytm bank as the main account for debit. So that will go out once the balance is exhausted.
Right.
And then you'll have to change the account for debit. But suppose if you have given Paytm account for receiving the proceeds of a mutual fund sale or dividend of a share, that you will continue receiving.
That you will continue receiving
That
despite new deposits being restricted by RBI?
Yes. So you cannot transact using that account, but you can still receive your interests, you can receive your dividends, you can receive your payments, etc.
Let's just look at the timeline and how the story has unfolded. It all began on the 29th of February, when the RBI imposed significant restrictions on Paytm. That meant it effectively barred it from doing 3 things. Number 1, accepting new customers. Number 2, allowing deposits or top-ups in existing accounts. And number 3, onboarding any merchants or new payment instruments such as FASTags, etc. Now, this unexpected move obviously sent shockwaves all across. Left you and me wondering, what does this mean for my Paytm wallet? The future of the bank itself was under question. Now, Paytm shares on that day fell 40% in 2 trading sessions. The founder, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, gave out a statement quite quickly then saying that there is no need to worry, that the money is safe, and while new deposits are restricted, withdrawals, your money already in their wallets, will continue to happen. But what exactly happened? Why did RBI take such a drastic action? So what Money Control has been learning And here on Network 18, what we've been reporting is that RBI says that it followed a comprehensive audit that revealed what it called was persistent non-compliance and continued material supervisory concerns. What does this mean? आपको आसान भाषा में बताते हैं इसके बारे में. This basically means that one of the things that popped up during the RBI audit is that RBI found hundreds of Paytm accounts created without proper identification. These accounts created without, say, what we call, you and I now know very commonly as KYC, details of those transactions worth crores on the platform. That also meant that over 1,000 users were found to be linked with the same PAN number. Again, as per sources, this is unusually high number for any sort of dormant account, and a lot of these dormant accounts were also found. What does this basically tell you? That all in all, it looked like that there are concerns of money laundering. Now, these are serious charges, remember, and VSS, as the founder is popularly known as of Paytm, came out with a statement after that to his employees saying that they don't need to worry, nothing has gone wrong, and they're still sort of figuring out a solution on what to take of the RBI diktat, and that the money was safe. Money Control also learned that the annual report of Paytm actually showed that the board was confident that RBI would validate or at max give them, say, corrective measures. Nobody saw this coming. What's happened in the last 2 days? Let's tell you that. Now, Paytm share price has got some relief. It's rebound about 17% from the day's low. And also the group, some support came in. So, a couple of Indian startup founders have now written to the Prime Minister, to the Finance Minister, even to the RBI, urging them to roll back on sanctions on Paytm. Now, this letter has been signed by some 12 founders, and they claim that such harsh action, according to them, against Paytm can be detrimental and have consequences over the overall fintech ecosystem. This letter has been signed by startups like Bharat Matrimony, there is Deepak Shenoy of Capital Mind, there are several other fintechs, PB Fintech, Make My Trip as well. And also, so some sort of support came in from the startup community. Also, we are now learning that VSS yesterday had an audience with the finance minister himself. He met Nirmala Sitharaman. And what we are told that the meeting lasted only 10 minutes. And the finance minister, again, this is through sources that Money Control is learning, might have asked him to take his request back to RBI. So what does this mean really? And while this entire fiasco is unfolding, most importantly, what concerns you and I is what's happening to our money and how safe is it on Paytm? Not just that, this entire episode has raised questions on the overall fintech ecosystem as well. So we thought, let's break it down, and as promised, we'll take all your questions. Now, for all those questions, the man who everybody will be waiting out for, Rohit Jain, joins us now. He's an advocate. Rohit, you've been looking at this entire fiasco quite closely. There are lots of concerns. Let me straight away go to some of the questions that have come to us. And these are, like I said, these are DMs that came to us through the course, through the night, yesterday and today. There is this particular, let me just dive in straight, Sanjeet Gaud, who says, how about Paytm postpaid? And will that work, considering now there is a sort of freeze on the other things?
Sure. So, I think first of all, it needs to be clarified that Paytm as an app and Paytm Bank as an entity are two different things. So, look at it that there is a host of services that Paytm is providing, and some of it is linked to Paytm Bank. So, had Paytm say not have the Paytm license, it can collaborate with other banks and continue to provide those services. For example, say PhonePe. So, PhonePe does not have a bank of its own. But PhonePe is providing you UPI services, PhonePe is providing you an app to transfer your money, etc. So, if Paytm Bank goes out of the picture, Paytm can still very well collaborate with other banks that are available and continue providing those services. And that is exactly what Paytm has clarified. That what Ideally, in an ideal world, they would have continued providing services through their own bank. It would have reduced cost for them. It would have made commercial sense. Now, since that is not there, they will have to scout for partnerships with other banks. As soon as the partnerships start getting forged, the services will continue as is.
Welcome back. You're watching The Nation at 5. Prime Minister's fiery speech on the floor of the House in Rajya Sabha today, an all-out attack on the opposition party. The Prime Minister focused on the North-South divide and that entire debate which has been kick-started by the Congress party. Today is the day when you have Chief Minister of Karnataka, Mr. Shiromani, protesting here in the national capital, saying that the state of Karnataka has not been given its dues when it comes to the GST funds and the collection devolution. The allegation is that the southern states in some ways are being discriminated against. Of course, BJP has rubbished all these allegations. The central government, the finance minister itself has come on record and said that all these allegations are baseless. Let's first listen in to what Prime Minister said in Rajya Sabha.
ऑक्सीजन को हम नहीं दे सकते, हमारे लोगों की जरूरत है, देश को कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, क्या होता देश का? उन्होंने संकट झेल करके भी देश को ऑक्सीजन पहुंचाया। देश के अंदर ये भाव तोड़ने का क्या प्रयास हो रहा है? क्या इस प्रकार से देश को हमारा टैक्स, हमारे मनी किस भाषा में बोला जा रहा है? ये देश के भविष्य के लिए नया खतरा पैदा करने वाली बात है। देश को तोड़ने के लिए नए नए नैरेटिव खोजना बंद कर दीजिए। देश को आगे बढ़ना है, देश को एक साथ लेकर के चलने का प्रयास कीजिए। जो दिशा हमें पकड़ी, जो निर्माण कार्य हमने लिए हैं, बीते एक दशक में हमारा पूरा फोकस बेसिक सुविधाएं जरूर मिले, उस पर हमारा ध्यान केंद्रित रहा है। हम आने वाले दिनों में हमारी पूरी शक्ति, पूरा सामर्थ्य ईज ऑफ लिविंग से एक कदम आगे बढ़ करके क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ की तरफ हम बढ़ाना चाहते हैं। हम उसके लिए जाएंगे। आदरणीय सभापति जी, आने वाले 5 वर्ष न्यू मिडिल क्लास, जो गरीबी से निकल करके बाहर आए हैं, ऐसे न्यू मिडिल क्लास को नई ऊंचाई और सशक्त बनाने के लिए हम अनेक विध कार्य पहुंचाने के लिए पूरा प्रयास करने वाले हैं।
Well, there's a word coming in from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman yet again, and taking on the Karnataka Chief Minister and the Congress government in the state. She has said that this separatist narrative is something which the Congress leaders and Mr. Siddaramaiah is indulging into. This is not what resonates with the people of Karnataka. Listen in to what Nirmala Sitharaman said.
ये सब बातें सिर्फ एक मानसिकता से निकलता है, वो अलगाववाद मानसिकता है, जो डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर के भाई ने, सगा भाई ने बता दिया और उसको रिपीट भी किए बहुत सारे लोग। कांग्रेस पार्टी आज अलगाववादी लोग के साथ है, देश को टुकड़े टुकड़े करने वाले लोगों के साथ है। 2-3 साल पहले आपने तब की नेशनल प्रेसिडेंट श्री राहुल गांधी जी को जेएनयू में देखे, उसके बाद में टुकड़े टुकड़े गैंग के साथ खड़े होते हुए देखे। आज पार्टी तमिलनाडु में भी ऐसे बयानबाजी, अलगाववादी बात करने वाले के साथ रहता है, उनको कंडेम नहीं करता है। इधर भी इस एडवर्टाइजमेंट के द्वारा उसी भाषा को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं कांग्रेस। देश को टुकड़े टुकड़े करने वाले का एक अस्त्र फिनांस के ऊपर फॉल्स आरोप लगाना। Yes.
Cutting across to my colleague Pal, who is with us on the broadcast. Pal, an all-out attack not just from the Prime Minister, but the Finance Minister saying this is a separatist tukde mindset by the opposition.
Well, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman just a short while ago, in fact, briefed the media and told them the kind of revenues that have been given to the state of Karnataka, the kind of deficit money that is being given to Karnataka, the additional aid that is being given to the state of Karnataka, which has completely been brushed under the carpet by the Congress leadership. Essentially, Nirmala Sitharaman said that the increase from the 2004 to 2014 term of the UPA and in comparison to the 10 years of the India has seen more than 250% money being given out to the state of Karnataka. So that's something which the state leadership does not really argue. But who will bear the brunt of the freebies? Remember, many political pundits have predicted that the number of freebies and the number of free guarantees that the Karnataka government had announced before they came into power would actually burden the state as well. So the language that the Karnataka leadership right now is speaking in terms of blaming the center for everything and saying, my tax versus my return, all of these are not the language that anybody should really speak. So you heard the Prime Minister speak on the floor of the House. On this, Nirmala Sitharaman has also attacked the Congress party and questioned their intent and essentially said that they've only spoken about breaking the country. Nirmala Sitharaman, Anusha Bhaiya also raking up the point that was made by DK Shiv Kumar's brother DK Suresh a couple of days ago when he had said that unfair treatment was being meted out to the South, and probably that's the reason the South needs to have a separate nation for itself as well. So this is the mindset of the Congress party, that they want to divide and rule, and this is the mindset of the party which has been time and again exposed, that is emphatically being spoken about Nirmala Sitharaman, who just briefed the media a short while ago.
All right. Thank you, Pal, for putting all of that into perspective. We'll, of course, keep coming back to you for more on that story. Let's play out some reactions.
If you collect 100 rupees and giving it to Government of India, we are getting back only 12 to 13 rupees as our share. 32,098 crores we lost. Karnataka has lost in devolution of taxes till 25-26 because of the 14th Finance Commission to 15th Finance Commission. In devolution, we lost about 62,098 crores.
जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने आज कहा कि ये कंट्री को डिवाइड करने की जो अटेम्प्ट्स है कांग्रेस के, इसका उन्होंने स्ट्रांग क्रिटिसिज्म किया है आज।
भारत को कोई डिवाइड नहीं कर सकते हैं। देश को विभाजन करने का काम वो कांग्रेस ने किया, पहले भी किया 1947 में। उसके बाद नेहरू जी के संदर्भ में भी हम हमारे जगह को चीना को छोड़ा, इंदिरा जी के समय में हमारा कश्मीर को हम पाकिस्तान को छोड़ा। अभी कांग्रेस का फिर से एक मानसिकता है भारत को साउथ एंड नॉर्थ से डिवाइड करना। ये नहीं हो जाएगा, क्योंकि कश्मीर से लेकर कन्याकुमारी तक भारत एक है। एक ही भारत माता की जय हम बोल रहे हैं, क्योंकि नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हम इतना पैसा सबको दे रहे हैं। हमारे लिए केरल में एक एमएलए और एक एमपी भी नहीं, फिर भी हम केरल को पैसा दे रहे हैं। केरल में विकास का कार्यक्रम हो रही है। ये डिवाइड करने का बात, डिवाइड करने का मानसिकता केवल कांग्रेस का है। कांग्रेस दिल्ली में बैठ के वो स्टेट का लोगों को ऐसा भाषा में बोलने के लिए मजबूरी कर रहे हैं।
Well, apart from the North-South divide that the Prime Minister lashed out on, there was much in the Prime Minister's address today. Attacking the opposition, he questioned the economic policies of the UPA government. He also said that the UPA government was never keen on giving reservations to the backward community, talking about their elitist mindset. The Prime Minister went all guns blazing and questioned the manner in which the Congress party has been reacting to various schemes and the opposition has been reacting to various welfare schemes. He spoke about how food grains have been provided, how about 25 crore people have been uplifted from poverty, and a new middle class that has emerged in this country needs to be saved from any kind of other issues, economic challenges that they may encounter. We'll talk more about what does the Prime Minister's address really means, the key takeaways from it. First, let's listen into some reactions and what the Prime Minister said.
ऑक्सीजन को हम नहीं दे सकते, हमारे लोगों की जरूरत है, देश को कुछ नहीं मिलेगा। क्या होता देश का? उन्होंने संकट झेल करके भी देश को ऑक्सीजन पहुंचाया। देश के अंदर ये भाव तोड़ने का क्या प्रयास हो रहा है? क्या इस प्रकार से देश को हमारा टैक्स, हमारे मनी किस भाषा में बोला जा रहा है? ये देश के भविष्य के लिए नया खतरा पैदा करने वाली बात है। देश को तोड़ने के लिए नए नैरेटिव खोजना बंद कर दीजिए। देश को आगे बढ़ना है, देश को एक साथ लेकर के चलने का प्रयास कीजिए। जो दिशा हमें पकड़ी, जो निर्माण कार्य हमने लिए हैं, बीते एक दशक में हमारा पूरा फोकस बेसिक सुविधाएं जरूर मिले, उस पर हमारा ध्यान केंद्रित रहा है। हम आने वाले दिनों में हमारी पूरी शक्ति, पूरा सामर्थ्य ईज ऑफ लिविंग से एक कदम आगे बढ़ करके क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ की तरफ हम बढ़ाना चाहते हैं। हम उसके लिए जाएंगे। आदरणीय सभापति जी, आने वाले 5 वर्ष न्यू मिडिल क्लास जो गरीबी से निकल करके बाहर आए हैं, ऐसे न्यू मिडिल क्लास को नई ऊंचाई और सशक्त बनाने के लिए हम अनेक विध कार्य पहुंचाने के लिए पूरा प्रयास करने वाले हैं। कांग्रेस के 10 साल का इतिहास देखिए। फ्रेजाइल 5 इकोनॉमी में दुनिया में कहा जाता था, मैं नहीं, दुनिया कहती फ्रेजाइल 5, पॉलिसी पैरालिसिस, ये तो उनकी पहचान बन गई थी। और हमारे 10 वर्ष टॉप 5 इकोनॉमी वाले। हमारे बड़े और निर्णायक फैसलों के लिए 10 साल याद किए जाएंगे।
Priyanka Chaturvedi ji, PM speech today in Parliament, he is practically saying Congress is not crossing 40. Modi 3.0 is coming. He is even giving his 5-year agenda to the Parliament today.
Okay, so all I'd say is that never underestimate the power of vote. Never underestimate the power of people. Confidence is good. I will never ever deny that. But the kind of overconfidence we are seeing seems quite likely to what we've seen during the India Shining campaign. I remember Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, LK Advani ji, Arun Jaitley ji, Sushma Swaraj ji being extremely confident about their second term and talking about their vision for the second term. It hasn't happened. So time will tell what's going to happen.
One thing also that he said, he attacked some opposition parties for creating this north-south divide, saying that why are you trying to divide my country, saying that my fund, your fund.
I think it's not the states which are dividing the country. It's the politics over, the central funds that are denied to those states which are governed by non-BJP governments. I remember during the COVID period when Mahavikas Agadi was in power, how there was when dispersal of funds came, it was used for their political agenda, and that is unfortunate. For every rupee Maharashtra sends to the centre, what we get in return is 7 paise. We are not grudging the fact that we are helping the country grow. We are not grudging the fact that some states which need hand-holding get it.
The strong statement by the Prime Minister today, he is saying Modi 3.0 पक्का है, Congress less than 40.
मैं नहीं, देश, पूरा देश, किसी को भी पूछो, मोदी प्रधानमंत्री फिर से बन रहे, सबको मालूम।
The strong attack by the Prime Minister today, saying many things on the Congress.
Nothing new, everything only on an election speech. He has done an election speech.
Yes.
Very low level election speech. Nothing else. Unfortunately, he is misquoting Congress President also.
The letter that he has cited of Mr.
He himself talking about him only. Everything on Modi. Who is talking? Only Prime Minister himself is talking about Modi.
So the 40 seat, one thing that he said that Congress will be less than, first he said 370 we will get. Now
don't worry, brother. Don't worry, brother. If they are finalize the seats, how can it be? Then there is no need of election. If they are finalized the seat, let us see 2020-2024.
You think India Alliance is in a strong position?
That's the same thing which Vajpayee ji also told about in this country.
In 2004. So you're saying
India shining, the same thing.
It will be a repeat of 2004 and 2024.
It will be a repeat of 2024. Only jumla, election speech.
Thank you, sir. Chirag Paswan ji, Prime Minister today very clearly saying that Modi 3.0 is coming back. Congress will be less than 40 seats. Some people say maybe it's overconfidence.
Of course not. I think this is the confidence that the people of our country has given to this government, to our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. They have believed in Modi ki guarantee, and is the reason why repeatedly one after the other in elections, the number has increased, and this time definitely we are crossing 400, and this is not overconfidence. This is the confidence on the basis of the work that's been done by this government.
Chirag ji, the reservation issue that the Prime Minister raised, that Congress has always been against reservation. He cited the letter of Mr. Nehru also.
No, and it is a serious matter. And the people of our country deserves to know this, that this is what our first Prime Minister used to think about reservation. I mean, I think these are the reasons collectively responsible for the downfall of Congress.
All right, not just the North-South divide, there were multiple other takeaways from the Prime Minister's speech. It's interesting how Prime Minister spoke about, once again, the legacy of Pandit Nehru. Yesterday, there was a tweet that came from Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. And I think there was a lot of emphasis on the development and the social welfare schemes that the Modi government is known for. Modi ki guarantee, he mentioned that.
Well, Anusha, the Prime Minister, I think in Lok Sabha, he said BJP will cross 370. In the Rajya Sabha, now he said Congress will not cross 40. So, the Prime Minister has laid the came out, there in the Lok Sabha, very confident looking Prime Minister, and taking on Nehru on the issue of reservation. Another I think very important remark by him, because his whole bogey of caste census, which we saw being raised in the assembly elections and the caste census and giving more reservation, he actually putting the Congress on the back foot and saying that, look, even your first Prime Minister was in fact against reservation. Yeah. You did not give a Bharat Ratna to Bhim Rao Ambedkar. It was when we came, last supporter government was formed, we gave the Bharat Ratna to Bhim Rao Ambedkar, and without Ambedkar, maybe Congress would have never given reservation. So that's also I think a very strong attack. But I think the larger picture is very clear from the PM that, our party is in a very strong position. We are building alliances while your alliances are breaking. We saw Nitish Kumar meeting the Prime Minister soon after his address today in Rajya Sabha. We are also seeing how other parties are, being wooed by the BJP to return to their fold, be it the RLD or be it the TDP. So I think the PM making a strong political point, and he's even laid out the agenda of his Modi 3.0 government in Parliament. So you think the confidence is showing, though we saw from the opposition benches people saying that India is actually coming back, and later we saw these bites and KC Venugopal saying that actually Modi is too overconfident and this might be a repeat of 2004 Shining India campaign when they couldn't come back. But I think the Modi government is very confident, and there are certain strong factors why I think that confidence is being exhibited in the Parliament by the Prime Minister.
Absolutely, they've got it right with the Prana Pratishtha and the development schemes and various other facets that Amin pointed out. We'll continue talking about everything that's making news in the run-up to the big elections of 2024. For now, we're slipping into a very short break. News and updates continue here on The Nation at 5.
Brought to you by
Understood was largely the implication is on the vendors, because they are the one making the payments. Your and mine is at the end of the day a wallet that can be accessed. You can still withdraw, but like you said, it can still Paytm to ease out transactions for its customers, can easily tie up with other banks and make it happen. But let me take this specific question that I asked you of Sanjeet Gaud, who says, how about Paytm postpaid? So what will happen there?
So for postpaid also, now since the postpaid was more of a credit service, so since the banking regulation is not there, that service through Paytm Bank will stop. As I said, if Paytm forges alliance with another bank, through that they may continue to provide the credit service under the brand name Paytm, but the provider would be an HDFC or an ICICI, some other bank, and not the Paytm Bank, which is which has been directed to stop the services.
Got it. There's another question from Rai Vishal. I think his name is Vishal Rai _24. Thanks Vishal for your question. He says, what about mutual fund investments that are happening through Paytm? What about them?
Yes. So typically what we would do is that we would have a bank account which we would give an e-instruction that every month the SIP is getting debited for the mutual fund, or we make an investment, right? So that will get stopped. So suppose if you have 1 lakh in your Paytm bank account, so till your SIP is within that limit, the debit will continue as is. But once that amount is exhausted, then you will have to change the bank account to some other bank. So suppose you have a mutual fund in which you have given your Paytm bank as the main account for debit. So that will go out once the balance is exhausted. And then you'll have to change the account for debit. But suppose if you have given Paytm account for receiving the proceeds of a mutual fund sale or dividend of a share, that you will continue receiving.
That you will continue receiving despite new deposits being restricted by RBI?
Yes. So you cannot transact using that account, but you can still receive your interests, you can receive your dividends, you can receive your payments, etc.
Let's just look at the timeline and how the story has unfolded. It all began on the 29th of February, when the RBI imposed significant restrictions on Paytm. That meant it effectively barred it from doing 3 things. Number 1, accepting new customers. Number 2, allowing deposits or top-ups in existing accounts. And number 3, onboarding any merchants or new payment instruments such as FASTags, etc. Now, this unexpected move obviously sent shockwaves all across. Left you and me wondering, what does this mean for my Paytm wallet? The future of the bank itself was under question. Now, Paytm shares on that day fell 40% in 2 trading sessions. the founder, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, gave out a statement quite quickly then saying that there is no need to worry, that the money is safe, and while new deposits are restricted, withdrawals, your money already in their wallets, will continue to happen. But what exactly happened? Why did RBI take such a drastic action? So what Money Control has been learning, and here on Network 18 what we've been reporting, is that RBI says that it followed a comprehensive audit that revealed what it called was persistent non-compliance and continued material supervisory concerns. What does this mean? आपको आसान भाषा में बताते हैं इसके बारे में. This basically means that one of the things that popped up during the RBI audit is that RBI found hundreds of Paytm accounts created without proper identification. These accounts created without, say, what we call, you and I now know very commonly as KYC, details of those transactions worth crores on the platform. That also meant that over 1,000 users were found to be linked with the same PAN number. Again, as per sources, this is unusually high number for any sort of dormant account, and you know, a lot of these dormant accounts were also found. What does this basically tell you? That all in all, it looked like that there are concerns of money laundering. Now, these are serious charges, remember, and VSS, as the founder is popularly known as of Paytm, came out with a statement after that to his employees saying that they don't need to worry, nothing has gone wrong, and there'll be no, they're still sort of figuring out a solution on what to take of the RBI diktat, and that the money was safe. Money Control also learnt that the annual report of Paytm actually showed that the board was confident that RBI would validate or at max give them, say, corrective measures. Nobody saw this coming. What's happened in the last 2 days? Let's tell you that. Now, Paytm share price has got some relief. It's rebound about 17% from the day's low. And also the group, also some support came in. So a couple of Indian startup founders have now written to the Prime Minister, to the Finance Minister, even to the RBI, urging them to roll back on sanctions on Paytm. Now, this letter has been signed by some 12 founders, and they claim that such harsh action, according to them, against Paytm can be detrimental and have consequences over the overall fintech ecosystem. This letter has been signed by startups like Bharat Matrimony, there is Deepak Shenoy of Capital Mind, there are several other fintechs, PB Fintech, Make My Trip as well. And also, so some sort of support came in from the startup community. Also, we are now learning that VSS yesterday had an audience with the Finance Minister himself. He met Nirmala Sitharaman. And what we are told that the meeting lasted only 10 minutes. And the Finance Minister, again, this is through sources that Money Control is learning, might have asked him to take his request back to RBI. So what does this mean really? And while this entire fiasco is unfolding, most importantly, what concerns you and I is what's happening to our money and how safe is it on Paytm? Not just that, this entire episode has raised questions on the overall fintech ecosystem as well. So we thought, let's break it down, and as promised, we'll take all your questions. Now, for all those questions, the man who everybody will be waiting out for, Rohit Jain, joins us now. He's an advocate. Rohit, you've been looking at this entire fiasco quite closely. There are lots of concerns. Let me straight away go to some of the questions that have come to us. And these are, like I said, these are DMs that came to us through the course, through the night, yesterday and today. There is this particular, let me just dive in straight, Sanjeet Gaur, who says, how about Paytm postpaid? And will that work, considering now there is a sort of freeze on the other things?
Sure. So, I think first of all, it needs to be clarified that Paytm as an app and Paytm Bank as an entity are two different things. So look at it that, you know, there is a host of services that Paytm is providing, and some of it is linked to Paytm Bank. So had Paytm, say, not have the Paytm license, it can collaborate with other banks and continue to provide those services.
Oh,
for example.
Well, we are in the election season or very close to it. It's a time of discussions and negotiations, and this time sources indicate that Shiromani Akali Dal, once an NDA player who had earlier walked out, you remember, during the farmers' protest, is once again in talks with the BJP. Could there be a possible pre-poll alliance? What exactly is happening? What can we expect? Let me try and cut across to my colleague Arun Dhata on this entire story, but that's the bit of news which is coming in right now. Shiromani Akali Dal, once a part of the NDA, they walked out during the farmers' protests and agitation in the wake of 3 contentious farm laws. Simrat Kaur Badal was also a mantri in the Modi government, but she had resigned, she had quit. And now it seems like that in the run-up to 2024, once again, there can be an understanding between the two sides. We are seeing hectic negotiations happening, whether it's the north or the south of the country. Arun Dhata will tell us more about this one. Arun, tell us more. What are you picking up? Arun, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, Anusha, if you could please repeat your question.
We are talking about the possibility of Shiromani Akali Dal and BJP once again coming together. There is at least a discussion happening between the two. What are you picking up?
Well, that's right. The source-based information that we are picking at this moment is that 2 rounds of meeting have already taken place between the senior leadership of Shiromani Akali Dal and Bharatiya Janata Party. That's what the information which we are getting. And we are also given to understand that to achieve the target of 400, which Prime Minister Modi has spoken from the Parliament for NDA, is something which seems to be the goal of the party at this moment. And therefore, they are trying to bring back the old constituents. We know the alliance between Shiromani Akali Dal and BJP have been very old, and it was very surprising and shocking at that point in time when they broke ties with Bharatiya Janata Party during the time of that 3 farm laws which Modi government had brought. And now when we are heading into 2024 Lok Sabha elections, we are seeing that the JDU is already in the fold of BJP. Talks are on with RLD, and also TDP is Chandrababu Naidu is also planning some meetings with BJP leaders. So in totality, we will see the old form of NDA. Remember, there was a time when RLD was in the NDA. Shiromani Akali Dal, of course, was part of the NDA. JDU was part of the NDA earlier as well, and TDP. So, and also Prime Minister Modi had shown the respect for the likes of Prakash Singh Badal. Remember, Anusha, in 2019, when Prime Minister Modi was filing his nomination from Varanasi, he touched the feet of Prakash Singh Badal.
Sure.
So these memories are there. So in coming few days, we will see some more meetings between both the parties, and perhaps
let's see if there is a understanding that the two sides can reach. Thank you, Arun, for getting us all those details on that story. Well, there's another special report that we get for you. Connectivity in Arunachal Pradesh, which is a border area and has a part of the line of actual control, has been a focus area for the government. Connectivity to Tawang is going to be augmented with a latest tunnel. Now, we'll get you more on that story and much more. This has been the focus of the Modi government to ensure that the northeastern state has a better connectivity. Well, that story and much more up on our website, news18.com. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of The Nation at 5. Thank you so much for watching.
The ED says this is not the first, second or third. This is the 10th summons that's been issued to Mr. Soren. If he has nothing to hide in the land scam, in the mining scam, why does he just not show up?
Temple is not being built on a disputed structure. The temple always existed there. The date.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. In what can be seen as a setback to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, he has been asked to appear before Delhi's Rouse Avenue Court on February 17 on ED's complaint over non-compliance of summons in the excise policy case. Kejriwal has skipped 5 summons so far, remember.